precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. The President says IMF agreement is a testimony of the government's commitment to carry out the necessary reforms. The Prime Minister emphasises that Parliament should win the confidence of the world. Minister Mahinda Amaravira points out that government and the opposition has a responsibility of rescuing the country from the present economic crisis. MP Vajirabewardena says an inquiry should be held to find how the country went bankrupt. And in world news, wife of ex-Malaysian Prime Minister Najib gets 10 years jail for bribery. And in sports news is cricket. Sri Lanka is looking to enter the Super 4 stage of the Asia Cup. Now the local news in detail. Reacting to Sri Lanka's staff-level agreement with the International Monetary Fund for a loan of $2.9 billion, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said the agreement is a testimony of the government's commitment to carry out the necessary reforms to offer a better life to Sri Lankan citizens. He said it paves the way for the provision of financial support from the IMF and other development partners that should help Sri Lanka to address current external imbalances and to restart the growth engine. The President said he is grateful to the IMF team, the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka for the hard work and dedication shown to come out to that agreement in record time. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the Parliament should ensure confidence in Sri Lanka by the world in unity. He said the government is taking measures for political and economic reforms. He pointed out that after working together to build the country and the economy, an election can be held later. He said a national policy on transport and energy should be introduced. Taking part in the budget debate in Parliament today, the Prime Minister said that the national programme to ensure food security by increasing production in rural areas would be launched. Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that the government as well as the opposition has a responsibility of rescuing the country from the present economic crisis. Taking part in the debate on the interim budget in Parliament today, he said that benefits given by the budget would be given to everyone without political differences. He said 12,000 hectares were cultivated during the Yala season this year. Therefore, he said there is no necessity to import rice. MP Vajirabewardena said it is the duty of all 225 parliamentarians to request for an inquiry to find how the country went bankrupt. He said a parliamentary select committee should be appointed to conduct the inquiry. MP Vajirabewardena said that the country was made bankrupt by some other groups, but it has been put to the parliament. He said the finance ministry or the central bank cannot make the country bankrupt. If the finance ministry reported to the parliament about the country's situation, a process would have been initiated to prevent the country going bankrupt. He said that the interim budget will add strength to the program to take the country back on the correct path. Taking part in the debate, he said it would be of no use blaming each other. MP Duminda Dissanayaka said that there should be a system change in the country. He further said that politicians should develop the country by thinking about future generations. The ambassador of Egypt in Sri Lanka, Majid Masleh, called on the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ali Sabri, yesterday at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Foreign Minister Sabri and Ambassador Masleh held wide-ranging discussions related to the multifaceted bilateral cooperation. Minister Sabri briefed Ambassador Masleh on current developments, the challenges faced by the country and measures taken by the government to overcome these challenges. Current global developments and the possible impact on the two countries were also discussed. It was noted that the 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Egypt will be celebrated next year in a fitting manner. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, The two accused, who were in remand custody in connection with the assassination of former Minister Jayaraj Fernando Pillai and 15 others, were acquitted and released today. The verdict was delivered when the case was called before Gampaha Magistrate Sahan Mapha this morning. Accordingly, former Superintendent of Police Gampaha Lakshman Kare and ex-LTTE cadre Silvaraja Kirubakaran were ordered to be acquitted and released in the murder case. Despite the economic downturn, Sri Lanka has managed to earn an export income of about $7,600 million in the first 7 months of this year. Sri Lanka Export Development Board said in the first 7 months of this year, an export income of $7,604.12 million has been earned. It is an increase of 11.8% compared to the export income of $6,803 million earned during the same period last year. MP Vimalavira Disanayake says that the interim budget will be a practical one which will not be limited only for theory. He said although it will not solve all problems of the people and the country, it can provide solutions to some problems. During a media briefing in Colombo today, he said the interim budget has been presented with short-term and long-term programs. The 76th anniversary of the United National Party falls on the 6th of this month. The anniversary is scheduled to be marked in a grand scale at Sugadadasa Indoor Stadium. Deputy leader of the party, Akila Viraj Karyavasan, said today other political parties have been invited to the ceremony. With that, we conclude the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Chief of Debt Capital Markets Division, Monetary and Capital Market Department, Peter Breyer, says Sri Lanka's 2023 budget needs to be consistent with the economic reforms program and macroeconomic framework under the International Monetary Fund program. IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities announced this morning that they have reached a staff-level agreement to support the island nation's economic policies with a 48-month agreement under the extended fund facility of $2.9 billion. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. National Water Supply and Drainage Board has announced an 18-hour water cut will be in effect in Colombo and its suburbs from 8 a.m. Saturday, September 3rd until 2 a.m. on Sunday, September 4th. The Water Board said Colombo, Dehiwala Mount Lavinia, Sri Jawadanapura Kotte, Kaduwela municipality areas, Maharagama, Boralasgamuwa, Kolonnawa municipality areas, Kotikavatta, Mulleriyawa, Ratmalana and Katubadda will be affected. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news. Taking a look at the headlines of the world news. Wife of ex-Malaysian Prime Minister Najib gets 10 years jail for bribery. Canada says it will follow up claims that one of its spies smuggled 3 UK schoolgirls into Syria. Trump team downplays sensitive files at Mar-a-Lago. Now the world news in detail. The wife of ex-Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak has been sentenced to 10 years in prison on each of 3 bribery charges. Razma Manzoor was found guilty on 3 charges of soliciting and receiving bribes to help a company win a $279 million project. The High Court said the jail terms would run concurrently. It comes days after her husband began serving a 12-year jail sentence for corruption. Canada says it will follow up claims that one of its spies smuggled 3 UK schoolgirls into Syria in 2015. A BBC investigation revealed Shamima Begum, who fled the UK and joined the Islamic State group with 2 friends, was smuggled by a Canadian agent. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he will look at the accusations to ensure rules were followed, but he defended the intelligence services who, he said, keep the country safe in a very dangerous world. Lawyers for Donald Trump have urged that and argued that the storage of sensitive files at his Florida home should have never been cause for alarm. His legal team said the FBI search last month was unprecedented, unnecessary, and legally unsupported. Their filing comes on the eve of a court hearing about Mr. Trump's call for a third-party official to oversee the evidence taken from Mar-a-Lago. Officials say the search was necessary due to obstruction by the Trump team. With that, we conclude the world news. Prior to concluding the headlines of the world news once again. Wife of ex-Malaysian Prime Minister Najib gets 10 years jail for bribery. Canada says it will follow up claims that one of its spies smuggled 3 UK schoolgirls into Syria. Trump team downplays sensitive files at Mar-a-Lago. With that, we conclude the world news. Moving on to development news. Operations of the Lotus Tower will commence on the 15th of next month. It is considered to be the tallest building in South Asia. More than $110 million has been spent to construct the building. The loan installments are expected to be paid back completely by 2024. Nearly $70 million taken as loans have been paid. The Lotus Tower private company commenced in March under the Treasury. The Auditor General's Department audit all transactions of the company. With that, we conclude the development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampat Bank. We present your future.
In sports cricket, Sri Lanka is looking to enter the Super 4 stage when they meet Bangladesh in the deciding Asia Cup cricket fixture scheduled to be held today at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. The match will commence at 7:30 p.m. local time. This will be a do-or-die battle for Dasun Shanaka and his team as they must win this game to qualify for the Super 4 stage. Sri Lanka lost to Afghanistan in their opening game at this venue on August 27th, while Bangladesh lost to Afghanistan on Tuesday. Afghanistan, led by Mohammad Nabi, has already recorded back-to-back victories over Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh finishing top of the group to enter the Super 4. Sri Lanka skipper Dasun Shanaka said that they will make a strong comeback in today's game. Bangladesh, led by experienced Shakib ul Hasan, hopes to pose a big challenge against Sri Lanka to win the game. That was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Uber Sri Lanka today announced a $200,000 donation to the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society to help vulnerable communities affected by the economic crisis. Over 10,000 individuals, including Uber delivery and driver partners, will receive dry ration packs containing daily essentials for a family of 4. In addition, 15 rural hospitals serving over 30,000 individuals will receive emergency medication and related supplies purchased directly from international suppliers. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic News, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Secretary to the Ministry of Tourism, W. Chulananda Pereira, says that the tourism industry is reviving again. Speaking during a media briefing at the Government Information Department, he said that the new tourism policy will be presented to the Cabinet next week. He said the shortcomings in the sector had been rectified in the new policy and plans for development of the industry will be connected with technology. That was Economic News.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says that the low-level atmospheric disturbance is gradually moving away from Sri Lanka. Showers will occur at times in the western, Sabragamua and northwestern provinces and in Jaffna, Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in Uva province and in Batticaloa and Ampara districts during the evening or night. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. The President says IMF agreement is a testimony of the government's commitment to carry out the necessary reforms. The Prime Minister emphasizes that Parliament should win the confidence of the world. Minister Mahinda Amaravira points out that government and the opposition has a responsibility of rescuing the country from the present economic crisis. MP Vajrabewardena says an inquiry should be held to find how the country went bankrupt. With that, we conclude the news.